I would not mind if they just scrapped the whole video ref thing at all.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't mind, man. I would not mind.
Okay.
I think if it looks like a try and it feels like a try, if you run through 10 guys and slam it down on the line, are we going to go and see a few millimetres? He actually boggled it as he ran through 10 guys and put it down on the line. No try. If it deserves a try, it's a try. That's how I feel.
So what about the technology, though, for the high shots, which is the big concern in all contact sports at the moment? Because at the time, I didn't see an issue in the tackle until the replay played. You know, Roger got up and stumbled, clearly massive concussion. If he hadn't got up and stumbled, I would have thought no fuss there. I didn't even see it. The ref clearly didn't see it. Wasn't called until the bunker intervened, and then the human error came in. So,
do you think they're trying to make a point of if you stumble around and stay down, you're not going to get a reward just for putting on a performance? Because the game seems to be going that way a little bit. And our boys are bad for it. I know Dallin, he'll get up slowly and,
Wade Egan as well.
His jaw, and Chance does it quite a bit. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I know referees don't want that in the game. They don't want people getting up slow, looking at the ref going, come on, are you going to review it? Are you going to review it?
But it's almost the players saying, I've had a headshot.
Yeah.
Call it, man.
Call it, yeah. But then the refs are like, well, if I see it, I'll call it. I don't want you to be the one who decides whether that goes up. And if they're trying to use Roger as an example for that, like, we're in charge of this game, not you getting up slowly. I don't know. That was a bad time to make an example if it is.
Yeah. Someone's text in here saying, guys, the NRL are seriously looking at reigniting the NYC under-20 competition. What are your thoughts? Mine are it's fantastic and it'll be a game changer for the Warriors and recruiting players from both oval ball codes.
Yeah, I think you could do that already with the jersey flag. The thing that the NYC done wrong last time was they were building up teenage superstars that hadn't played first grade but were household names, and that's where they went wrong, because you're putting so much pressure on these guys that they never asked for. They're just playing footy and they're playing well, and then all of a sudden it's, this guy's headed for Origin, he's the next big thing,
Yeah.
Guys like Drury Lowe and who's some of the other ones, Josh Dugan and Stephen Kearney and blah, blah, blah. And some of these players just aren't up for it. They're not, like, I named a couple that did go to first grade, but there's a lot that won't make that jump. And now they're feeling like, well, I should have, because I'm a superstar. Everybody knows who I am. I think if you were to do the NYC properly and do it again, and it's the same with the secondary schools rugby, how they put it on TV and made these kids to be future All Blacks, and that's just pressure they don't need. I think you could put the NYC on there and you could just talk about it as a club, like have it team focused, not individual focused.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with secondary schools rugby or rugby league. I think you could celebrate the school and celebrate the team and not dive into the individual and build up these big profiles for guys that never asked for it.
Yeah, when you got rock stars and
it's hard
really
to.
hard not to.
It's hard to, but just call him the halfback. Another great try there from the halfback.
Yeah. The halfback.
Whatever his name is, we're not too bothered at this point.
This is a great point from Jade saying, do you think that because Crichton is a contender for the Dally-M, that may have been a subconscious reason as to why he didn't get bummed? It's probably binned, as that would have thrown him out of the race. Just a thought.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
He's one of the rock stars, untouchable.
Yeah, he is. And there's, people talk about how it ruined Reece Walsh's contention for it last year, how he had a great season and missed out. But then you got to look at the rule itself. Is the rule need changing then? Because if somebody gets sin binned and that disqualifies them from, a Player of the Year award, even though they may have been a standout player, I think it's stupid.
What is it with New Zealand media and their love affair with the Warriors and the NRL, who are the most un-New Zealand team of all sports franchises in New Zealand? Hardly no mention of how bad the Warriors are, just waffling on about players leaving and sin bins.
You know what it is, and this is what I was talking about earlier, Steph. It's the underdog story. Everybody loves an underdog story.
They do.
And the Warriors are one of the greatest underdog stories in sports. And every year they don't win, the underdog story gets even better and even better and even better. And the worst thing the Warriors could do from a marketing perspective is to win the comp, because now they're not underdogs anymore. They're just a team that's won a comp 10 years ago and hasn't won one since, bloody useless.
It's like Cronulla, like
Cronulla, yeah. Like Cronulla, as soon as they won one, it was, yeah, now what? But you look at the All Blacks as an example, right? When the All Blacks are winning, people got bored. People turned the TVs off. People stopped knowing who the All Blacks were. And that's because they were winning. They won 2 World Cups back to back. And after that second World Cup, it was like,
just win everything.
Yeah, just win every Bledisloe low, win every tries, whatever. Mm-hmm. Who plays for the All Blacks? I don't know. I stopped watching. But now that they start losing and they sack the coach, and hold on a second, what's going on here?
Let's get invested.
Let's get back on board. Like this when they're going to South Africa, everyone's saying they're going to get slaughtered. And you're
everyone's going to watch.
Everyone's going to watch. That's it, because we love an underdog. If they were going there as favourites, probably wouldn't watch.
Great points from Anthony. Right, we shall take a break. On the other side, one of the assistant coaches for the Kiwis and a talent ID man for the youth that are over in Australia. Looking forward to chatting with Stephen Kearney. Welcome back into Running It Straight. Steph sitting in today for Sammy Hewitt and joined by Anthony Galling. It's a great pleasure to welcome in Stephen Kearney, a long time player, coach, everything. He's done everything in rugby league. Stephen, welcome into the show.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
International season is looming. I always get quite excited as a patriotical Kiwi. I get fizzed up for international footy more than Origin, more than club. I love it, Stephen. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a special time of the year. I spent a fair bit of time at the helm there with the Kiwi team, and I always looked upon that period as a special time. So last year, obviously having some involvement with the team and watching them win the Pacific Cup was really special also.
So hey, Mooks Jello here, mate. What's going to be your exact role within that coaching staff? Because I think, speaking to Nathan Cayless earlier today, a lot of people assume he's going to be tied in with the forwards. He's going to be doing some more defense stuff. What's your, with a head coaching role background, you could be a bit vague and across the board. What's your exact role within that coaching staff?
Yeah, again, when Stace asked me to be involved with the group, it was, for me it was really important. I've feel that I've had my opportunity at that role as an assistant and also as a head coach of the Kiwi. So, but he wanted me around the group. So it's more of an advisory role, culture and leadership from a cultural and leadership perspective. Obviously, he thought that I had a fair bit of experience behind me and that I could help him in certain areas. So, and I definitely think I can. So, in terms of the specific, name of the role, girls, I couldn't actually tell you, but it's certainly around, advisory, leadership and culture. That's where I feel I can add some real value to the group.
Stephen Kearney joining us. Yourself and Nathan Cayless are going to be involved in I think it's a 3-day camp with young rugby league players you're looking after, and I think talent IDing the Queensland players. Nathan's doing New South Wales players. This is going to be great for rugby league and the Kiwis and junior Kiwis or whatever we can find. Stephen, can you tell us what your role is in that, what you have to do to find these young men?
Yeah, so I guess where it all sort of, started or, was born is, I'd spent the last probably 24 months watching a fair bit of the under-17s, which they call the Cyril Connell Cup here in Queensland, and the Malmaninga Cup, which is the under-19. So I spent a fair bit of time watching that those two grades over the last 2 years. And last year, I made a phone call to Mutu Tony, the GM of New Zealand Rugby League, saying, there's a lot of Kiwi talent or Pacifica talent, playing in the competitions, those two competitions. If it's 50% in the NRL, I don't know the exact exact number, but I'm picking it would probably be around the 60-65% in those two grades that I just mentioned, and it would be something similar in New South Wales. So it was really important for me that we connect those kids with heritage, and that's where the Tauta Here sort of project come about. We had it up and going. It would have been around 2014, 2015. Some fairly good talent come out of that. James Fisher-Harris won. So it was about providing these boys, this talent with a pathway to playing in a Kiwi jersey.
How many boys are we talking about, Mooks? Because I know a lot of people say there's more Māoris on the Gold Coast than there is in New Zealand. How many? How big are these camps? What kind of numbers are we looking at?
Yeah, so it'll be two teams. Obviously, a team from New South Wales, Nathan Cayless, Matt Duff, who's in the Melbourne Storm program, looking after their academy down at the Melbourne Storm. So he's going to be coaching the New South Wales under-17s Tauta Here team. So it's so there's 21 boys in the squad, and then it'll be the same here in Queensland. And Larry Dixon, who's his team, he's a Kiwi fella. His team won the under-17s competition this year. He coached the Redcliffe Dolphins under-17 side. They won the comp. So he's the head coach, and we've got a couple of handy assistants and Bully Luke, Isaac Luke, and Brent Webb will be helping Larry out. So so a total of obviously 41 boys will come into camp. We've got a couple of boys that are coming in that are injured, that are Kiwi heritage, and a couple of invites to a couple of boys to come into camp also, just to come in for the experience.
Oh, nice, man. Hey, looking towards these tests at a few months' time. As far as selections and availabilities and stuff like that, I feel as though the Kiwis, to have a chance, you might feel differently to this, to have a chance at beating the Aussies, we have to have our very best 13 out there. So if I look at for example, last time we won a World Cup, that 2008 World Cup, it was a great mix of old and young. I think in every position we ticked the box to have, the best player possible in those positions. You look at Australia, I think in every category, they're A++ for every position. And, there is the old adage that you could take out their whole starting 13, replace it and probably get rid of that 13 and, even their third 13 would have a good team. So, is that how you feel for the Kiwis to have a chance? They have to have their very best side out there?
Oh, well I think last year was a really good example for us, girls, in the sense that, we probably didn't have our, the ideal side. We had a 5'8", playing in the dummy half, and Kieran Foran. There were, a couple of injuries before the tournament that, probably didn't suit us, as well. So, I feel that, the basis of the group, the leadership group, when you're talking about, Jerome Hughes, Fisher-Harris, Joseph Tapani, I think, Nelson, you put Nelson in there, Britton Nakora. When you get the basis of that group, that like you'd have them in any team if you, before going into the weekend. You'd want them in your team any day of the week, So I think that's really important, that core leadership group. But again, I'm picking, if you went into last year's final, you would have seen, what you just said about Australia, you would have said about that, about them at that time. But we beat them 28-0 because, we're, really focused, committed, to what we wanted to achieve. And so again, sometimes injuries, whatever happens, over the course of the next, month or so will happen. And then it's about making sure that our, best group of guys come into camp and they're willing to, commit to the jumper make sure we take our best game of footy to those test matches.
Well,
I think that's, to me, that's the important part.
Yeah, I thought the final score was 30-0. Did you sneak off early? Missed the last kick.
I lost count after about 26. Yeah, I was too busy cheering.
Touching on that result, though, that's an awesome result for the Kiwis. Do you think there will be some things that Madge put in place that will remain there on the back of that success?
Oh, definitely. And Stace has made that really clear, with the leadership group and, with the staff, because, obviously, Madge, had the group, for, a number of years and helped set processes that obviously worked. So, Stace, has encouraged the leadership group and the staff to make sure that, they remain in place. So, no doubt, there'll be areas that stay the same. And then it's about, Stace and his group of staff, putting their touch to what they think can help the group improve.
Talking to Stephen Kearney. Stephen, as you approach an international campaign, you're welcoming in players from the Warriors and from the Storm, from Manly, from all over the place. How hard is it to devise a game plan with guys who've all played different systems for the best part of 6 months to fall into a Kiwi system? Is it? Do you keep it quite basic? How do you approach that?
Yeah, I think when I think the talent's important to look at. I thought the way if you look at the final last year and the strength of that particular final, I thought Joseph, the forward group really laid a real solid platform, for the guys of Jerome and Dylan and Nux at the back there, Chance, to really take advantage of what the momentum that the forwards picked. So I guess the point that I'm making, you got to play to your strengths, and I think that's certainly a real strength of ours in regards to that forward pack. As I said earlier, any of those names in that forward pack, you would have them any team you picked at any time. So I think that's what binds the group together is making sure that we're playing to our strengths.
Hey, this is just an observation from myself. I don't know if there's any method to this or if this is a thing, but I always feel like...
Oh, here we go.
I know, I'm listening into this.
I always feel like in every Kiwi squad, whether they go on tour or test match or whatever, there's always a really young player that gets brought in. Like sometimes before they've done their time in the NRL, are they sometimes just brought in purely just to help them level up faster? Because I remember an example of, I was a kid, I went to the Millennium Institute, I think it was maybe 10 or 11 or something like that, and there was Tommy Luluwai, I think he might have been like 17, 18, and he was there in the Kiwi squad. He didn't come out of his bedroom. We went and see him in his bedroom. I think he'd been in there all week, poor fella. But I always feel like there's a young guy in there. Like an apprentice. Yeah, like an apprentice. Like let's get him in just to be in that atmosphere, and in 3 years, 4 times, this is going to be our guy.
Well, they call that girls. They call that strategy. So it's about identifying the talent and then giving them an opportunity to mix with the likes of say for instance Leo Thompson. So he went away and it was during the New Zealand Māori All-Stars game, and again, the time that he spent with Fisher Harris and those boys, the feedback coming back out of Newcastle was that like he had jumped ahead, 50 to 100 NRL games because he was that tuned in to what it took because he had been around guys that are at the top of their game, so. And that's the idea when you identify the talent and you recognise, okay, well here's a young fellow who who's going to really benefit from being in that environment, and you get to see a bit about them too. Like again, obviously, if you're not in contact with him each week at club level, and then he comes into camp and you see him every day for the next 3 or so weeks, that helps form a picture of him too. So I think that's the key part. And I think if you look, last year we had we were lucky enough to have a New Zealand A team, play, and there was, some really, special talent, I thought, in that group. And one, there's a fullback playing for the Titans who really jumped out of the box at the start of this year, Keano. And you could see that the experience that he had during the time last year, with particularly the first week where they spent most of the week, opposing against the Kiwi team, and I could see him sitting down with Chance, going through video, what he should be doing better. So those opportunities, I think, are really beneficial in a young guy's development, particularly at that level, at that international level.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, was it Chris Naninu played for the Kiwis before he played NRL? I'm not too sure. Staffy, you'll have a better idea.
I think there was something like that. Christian Inu, do you remember that?
Oh, I can't. That's going back a long way for me. You might be right. Yeah. You might be right.
Yeah. Awesome, Stephen. Well, really appreciate your time with us today, mate. It's been special. And as I say, I love the international game. I want to see more of it. Do you want to see some mid-year test matches? Would you like that?
I would love to see it. I just think, when you're looking at the competition now, like there would have to be a break somewhere. It's pretty jam-packed at the moment, and they're looking to try and add more teams, which is going to mean more games. So, I'd love to have a mid-year test. But even if it was maybe the British team coming down while the State of Origin was on, and they'll have to, something has to give there for that to happen, I reckon.
Awesome. Stephen Kearney, just a big thank you for everything you've done for rugby league so far and continue to do. A valuable man in our rugby league cogs. And thanks heaps for joining us today.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Stephen Kearney there, joining us out of Queensland. They've got a good staff around the Kiwis with Stacey, with Kearney, with Cayless, Adam Blair. There's a lot of them.
Well, all those guys were there for that 2008 World Cup. And, we're 2 years away from a World Cup now. Hopefully they can recapture some of that magic. Where was Stacey for 2008?
That's a good question.
I think he may, I'm not too sure, because I know he came back and played for the Warriors, didn't he, 2007.
From Catalans.
And then they had Nathan Feen playing
they had Feen
2008.
I wonder what he was doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure where he was.
Anyway, you're welcome to send us in a text message, 8833. I'll just get a couple of them. When I say get them out of the way, I don't mean anything by that. Someone's texting saying, I've heard Moses Leo from the Sevens has signed with the Melbourne Storm. Yeah, I heard that last week as well. Jimmy Smith from across the ditch said he'd heard it as well. He's about a 6 foot, 95 keg, lightning fast.
Flyer.
Lightning fast. And William Warbrick is there at the Storm, and he came from the Sevens program.
That's right, yeah.
Yep, so there is proof. Hey, Staffy, when you're talking with Stephen Kearney, should have read that before, regarding New Zealand pathways and recruitment, can you please ask him if they are going to lift the Origin rules so players that are eligible for Origin and Kiwis are actually allowed to play for the Kiwis? Jamie from Wanaka. I don't see that happening, Jello.
Nah, I don't see Aussie giving us that leg up there.
I think they've got to sort out that Tier 2, Tonga and Samoa Tier 2 stuff. It's weird. They either can't play Origin or the Kiwis can.
Yeah, that's not right, especially when they're heavy hitters now.
They're massive hitters.
Yeah, we're all on the same field just about. If they can make the World Cup final, surely you're good enough to play.
Yeah. And Steffi asked Stephen, if there is any Aussies in that mix he's doing, or has Māori and Pacifica boys taken over now? The boys they're working with have lineage to New Zealand, so they're Kiwi eligible, and they just want to have a yarn to them. Actually, tune in tomorrow. We'll have Nathan Cayless on, and he'll go into it a bit more. We've got a few questions around that. But we shall take a break. Back shortly. Yep, it's Stephen for Sam. This week he will return for the commentary and next week's show as well. Some text messages come in. Stacey was still playing for Catalan in 08. He came back to the Warriors in 09 and then retired. Thank you, Kane from Invercargill. Good afternoon, lads. What are the grand final predictions? My prediction, Jello, is the Storm versus the Bulldogs. If it can happen, if the draw lets that happen. Oh, actually, Richie's saying Storm Bulldogs. There we go.
Oh, wow. I was thinking about that today. I was thinking if the Bulldogs finish fourth and they get the Roosters, if it goes that way in a semi, I think the Bulldogs will beat the Roosters, similar to what they did earlier in the year. I don't know, man. Week to week, it's like, oh, hold on. There's like a little plot twist, you know? Because I thought Penrith and Roosters.
I thought that all year.
I was thinking Penrith and Roosters, and I'm like, oh, hold on. There's a plot twist here. Yeah, they look human. They look very human.
Yes, we're going back to the bunker. Greg says, I feel like the bunker should show the ref the slow-mo replay and it's his call on the bidding, etc. It shouldn't be the bunker making that decision for the ref. Ultimately, show the ref the evidence so it's on the man in the middle. I've said that in rugby as well, Jello. The number one person, the best official, is the guy in the middle with the whistle. The second best are the touch judges or the linesmen. The fourth best is the one looking at the TV, and they're deciding games.
I don't know. Can the touchies see much from...
They can have a monitor on the sideline like the NFL do.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Go and have a look, man.
Yeah, because even if you throw it to the ref and he's got his neck craned up on the big screen...
And big screens aren't always clear. The high shot on Mitch Barnett was worse than the one on RTS over 8 games a week. Over 8 games a week for the bunker. I'm not sure what that means, but Mitch Barnett's shot was bad, wasn't it? From Joe, g'day Joe. The Warriors season has done a 180-degree turnaround. Last year, the team had terrible starts at the beginning of the season, then got it right. Sadly, this year, it's been good starts and poor finishes. You can blame injuries to a point, but the team hasn't nailed the basics this year, especially their defence. And the concerning thing for me, last year, we'd have goal line defence, and I'd just sit there and I go, they ain't getting us.
Yeah.
They ain't getting us. And it works attack after attack after attack, and we just repelled. None of that this year.
What's the difference, though? Because it's the same personnel.
Same personnel, I know. Weeby's going to have a great summer. He's going to learn a lot this year.
Yeah.
You were telling me before, it's members' night tonight at the...
Yeah, man.
I didn't know this happened. So the members go along to Mount Smart. Cam George is there. Webby's there, Andrew McFadden's there.
Yep.
And you're there.
And I'll be there. And Monty.
And Monty's there. Yeah. And the members open mic with the chiefs of the Warriors. Ask anything you like. Wow.
That's wicked, eh?
Can you set record on your voice memo on your phone?
I'm tempted to. But no, there's so a lot of people have already sent in their questions. So there are the questions that are asked over and over. They'll be kind of asked as the main questions.
Yep.
And then, it's open mic after that.
That's good, though. That's fronting.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Should do it every week.
Right, let's have a look ahead to the Warriors game, being that it is a New Zealand show. Some enforced changes, particularly with Roger. Chance goes back into the centres. I'm very excited to see Tane Tu'opiki come back at the back. He's an excitement machine. What have you made of this team lineup? I'm trying to find it, eh?
Yeah, just having a look on the list here. Yeah, I'd like to see Tane back there. I think he's a very hard done by. I think the games that he has played, he was really exciting, played really well. Special mention for that Magic Round game when they ambushed the Panthers.
Is he a lifetime one? Or is he a bit small to be a lifetime one?
Ooh. Well, he played a lot of half, actually, before he went to one. What do you mean when you say lifetime one?
Lifetime fullback. Is he a fullback forever? Or because I watch him and I see an exciting half.
Well, I think that too. And I think in the Cup sometimes you have to chop and change and, you play where you need to sometimes. Because he's got that ability to beat tackles. And that's what a good half has, a dangerous run game. Because if your half can run, you can't just get up and slide off. And, you know he's going to pass, but it's who is he going to pass to? That's the question.
Sean Johnson gets picked again for his very last game. A few eyebrows raised that he might sit that one out. Were you surprised he gets the start?
No, I'm not surprised. Last one, finish strong. Give him the send-off he deserves, I think, even though last week was, full of all the formalities and stuff like that. It wouldn't surprise me, though, last-minute changes.
Yeah, I think there might be some last-minute changes. They've named a big bench, so there might be some niggles, maybe. Winning prospects for this week, Jello? Like Mitch Barnett said, and I sort of had a giggle, we're doing it for the jersey. And the last few weeks, they've done it for the fans, they've done it for Sean, they've done it for the club. Now we're doing it he's trying to find something to do it for us to get the win. Mitch has been fantastic. Is there enough wherewithal in the club to go out on a high? Or did they fire their shots last week and they were blank?
I don't know. I think sometimes you see teams that aren't going well or had a bad season, you always see them win their last game. And I think it's because they know at the end of that 80 minutes, the light's at the end of the tunnel. You get your rest. That's it. You're on holiday. It's all done. So I think that energizes you a little bit. I think when you're staring down the barrel of a daunting season, sometimes that can take energy away from you. So I think the prospect of knowing that this is it, after this 80, we're chilling. We're chilling. And I think that brings some excitement and you have some fun and you go out there and I think they get the win this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so someone texted in, I intentionally didn't read it. Tell Anthony not to pick the Warriors so I can have a punt. You've just picked the Warriors.
Sorry, mate.
So, Mark, you'll be taking Cronulla this week. We'll take our last break. When we come back, we'll preview the rest of the round. Welcome back to Running It Straight. We're going to go through the next games until we run out of time. Is that fair, Jello?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
North Q, Melbourne Storm. I still think $4 on the Melbourne Storm is a good price, even though they've got a few out. They've still got Pappenhausen and still got Munster.
Yeah, but you got no Jerome Hughes, no Harry Grant, no Katoa, no Bloor, no Warbrick.
No chance.
No chance. I don't know. Nah, I like the Cowboys.
Okay.
The Cowboys they've found a new gear, so they dropped Chad Townsend and they put in Jake Clifford. And you look at the Cowboys, all the defensive woes that they've had this year. If you look at the last game that they lost against the Broncos, everything went through Townsend. Broncos just steamrolled that edge, and he was all over the shop. I think Peyton was right to drop him. But since they've made the change, they look good, man. They look really good.
Feature match of the round for me is Friday. Is that? Yeah, Friday. Bulldogs, Manly Seagulls. That one's got marquee match.
100%, man. And you know what? It's a big game for the Seagulls because they are very much a Sunday afternoon at home team. That's when they play their best footy.
Yeah.
I can't see them in a semi-final going away and winning. I can't see them going to Belmore and winning. I can't see them going to, where else might they go? I can't see them going to Townsville and winning. I think the best chance they have is a home semi to get them through to the next round. But someone was telling me a stat that the Seagulls haven't won a game this year after 8 p.m. or after 6 p.m. Someone said, it must be past their bedtime. Like, they have to play early or get their early kickoff to have a chance.
Turn into pumpkins. Penrith will get past Souths. Paris St George.
Paris St George. We were talking about this earlier, weren't we? The 2010 Jared Hayne. So history never repeats, but it was the Eels that ruined the Dragons season back in 2010. You remember
so
that?
They could do it again.
And the Dragons need to win. If they win their next two games, they're in the final, simple as that. If they win one out of their next two, their points differential would tie them with the Broncos, the Dolphins, anyone that picks up another win from that bottom eight.
So the Dragons have to win.
They have to win.
I hope they win for Ken's sake.
Because their points differential is awful. So if they finish on 30 and someone else is on 30, Broncos and Dolphins would both jump over them with 30.
I always enjoy Dolphins-Broncos games.
See, I think that could be the game of the round.
Yeah, potentially.
Because they're both playing for their season. Or not even their season, they're playing for a raffle ticket. They're playing for a chance at finals, depending on what the Dragons do.
And the last one I want to mention is the Roosters against the Raiders. I love watching Raiders home games, but they're away.
Yeah, and you know what? I think if it was any other team, the Raiders would be fired up, and they're another chance of jumping on that 30 points and sneaking into the 8. But if it was any other team but the Roosters, I think they could do it. But I think that's too tall a task.
That is running it straight for another week. Sammy will be back with you with Jello next weekend. Don't forget we've got live commentary of the Warriors against the Sharks. The run home is next. I see Beaver and I see Mark Richardson. That'll be fun.
SENZ. It's Kiwi for Sport.